Hey guys, it's T.R. Perry, and this is my booktube. Today, we're going to be talking about how in the world do you take your ideas about, I want to write a book about, insert blank here, and turn that into an entire book. How in the world do you do that? I'll be talking about this later, but this is like literally just the first print of my book. I changed so much about this, but for another video. Anyway, the question remains the same. How do you do that? And in my last video, I talked about how do you start that just initial brainstorming. And in this video, I want to talk more about how do you get the plot going. So I'm going to be talking in terms of chapters today because I think that can be really helpful and an easy way to think about plot. But some people are different. Everybody's different in the way they think about these things. So don't feel like the way that I went about this is necessarily for you. So you have to figure out what works for you and your process, in your mind. I just know for me, I tend to be a very, I don't know if the word is organized per se. I mean, yes, I'm more of a planner. So for me, when I'm thinking about books, I like to think in terms of chapters when I'm thinking about the plot because that really helps me and sort of gives me space to sort of chunk out how am I going to get from point A to point B. Point A being this is the character, and point B being the end, right? So how do you get into all those middle steps? I kind of was considering and debating, should I show them, like the actual document and articles that I wrote, just kind of saying, okay, this is what I wrote, but I realized it's kind of boring, and so instead I have my laptop here for reference, but there's it's just a really long document. I didn't think that it really made sense for me to necessarily share that, but I will be just talking through it. So what I did do, and I'll go ahead and I guess I can use this just to share for reference. This is just a regular old Google document, and you can see here that I've written like, okay, chapter 1, I want this to happen, chapter 2, I want this to happen, chapter 3, I want this to happen, and each chapter is literally just a couple of sentences long, okay? So there's not really too much happening in each chapter. It's really just me trying to figure out like, okay, how do I get from point A to point B? So I'll go ahead and read what I wrote for chapter 1. I said, we meet the princess just waking up to an average day, and her parents announced to her that the time has come for her coronation. They have decided, okay, I literally didn't even write in complete sentences. I literally put like commas here. Comma, they have decided that she is ready or possibly changed their minds to make things happen earlier because of a great opportunity for her to rule, comma. She experiences anxiety about this, comma. There are also great mentions of walls of people that, don't look anything like her or that she's supposed to be modeling herself after. Like, it's so much rambling happening, but it is the initial brainstorm. It's going to not be completely perfect and clear. I just read that and that is where I started, and now I have like a whole book. So that is a great place to start. The way that I did it is I basically I didn't know how many chapters it was going to be in the end, but I just said, okay, well, I don't know if any of you are familiar with plays, but if you are, it can be a helpful reference. Think about the scenes in plays or in a movie. And it's like, if you can take a movie, you could kind of divide it into these big chunks, like these main scenes. And so it's like frame 1. Okay, first I want this to happen. Next I want this to happen. That's going to really help you. I feel like those words don't even necessarily make sense. It's just more like go with whatever you are thinking at the time. Don't feel like you have to filter things out to make sense or be actually like sensitive, it's just your brainstorm. Nobody's really gonna read this. I mean, I'm reading it to you now, but at the time, oh man, there was one part that I just couldn't say just now because I realized I could be horribly like, you know making a I could be spoiling things for you guys, and I'm not gonna do that, I promise. But yeah, I think what's cool is like you can take even in these opportunities to say, okay, I like this person, I want this person to be a good guy, I want this person to be a bad guy, I want this person to do this in the end but she doesn't realize it yet, I want, you know. And so I think that's what's really great about sort of plotting out, you know, just with a couple sentences each chapter, like that. So yeah, hopefully that's really helpful for you guys, just, you know, thinking about how do I get started with the plot. And yeah, if you like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe so you can get more information and hear more about how the book's going, as well as learn how to write your own. So thanks guys.